Ladies and gentlemen, we've got something crazy to talk about today, and that is going to be Neverness to Everness, NTE, and how, I guess in this case, it turns out Wuthering Waves is actually NTRing the HOTA developers. Because boy, oh boy, there has been some footage released, and there's actually some past footage that we're going to take a look at as well that isn't necessarily painting the game in the most positive light. Some could say they're taking inspiration, others will say that they're straight up copying. And so this is what we're going to be taking a look at today. It's some footage from Billy actually of the new main character's kit from Neverness to Everness. And here is a excerpt of what it compares to in Wuthering Waves. We've got Zhang Liao. Yeah. So a lot of people are looking at this, right? And they're saying, oh, it's not that big of a deal. I'm glad that Wuwa is getting, I'm glad that Wuwa is inspiring a lot of people. But this is the thing. There's a clear and cut difference between taking inspiration and straight up actually copying the entire moveset. Because as you can see over here, the timing of these moves is almost exactly the same. All of the attacks are basically a 5-hit sequence with the same 2 attack moves, and all of the attacks also take the same exact amount of time. Let's just play it again in full screen this time. Yeah, and this is the thing. When we're simply taking inspiration, that would involve maybe, the main character on the right from NTE, maybe having like some sort of blast attack. Right? But perhaps the timing would be different. But when it's straight up ripped from Wuthering Waves, and there's no adjustments at all made to the timing, and the moveset towards the end looks almost exactly the same, a lot of people are immediately going to look at this and be like, did you even try when it comes to differentiating over here, right? Did you even try when it comes to coming up with something original? And when you understand the kind of track record that NTE, or really the HOTA developers have when it comes to their games in the past, Tower of Fantasy, they're kind of known for making lower quality games that are essentially cash grabs. That's what Tower of Fantasy was. It was a collection of low-quality assets, low-quality kit design, and rampant power creep that was done just to push out as many units as possible with janky mechanics that seem to be just taken from a bunch of other games. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is, I don't really think, a great sign for NTE, because that just sort of means, right, they're kind of doing the same exact stuff that put Tower of Fantasy in the bin. The same exact stuff that made Tower of Fantasy the laughingstock of the gacha space. And so, let's just look at it one more time. And the worst part about it, guys, it literally looks worse. It literally looks worse. You have to ask yourself, why is this character on the right shooting laser beams out of their hand? What's the reason for them shooting laser beams out of their hand? Zhang Liao has a robot arm. He's got a robot arm that extends out like fucking Iron Man and blasts out ionized cannon power. Why is she doing that? She got a sword. You clearly see she got a sword. She has a sword, and in her basic attack chain, uses it for one attack. Thematically, you have to wonder, what is actually going on over here when her first attack involves her throwing her sword, and then she proceeds to just pull out the martial arts and start kicking and punching. Zhang Liao is a gauntlet user, right? It makes sense for him to be doing like these punches and kicks because he literally doesn't have a weapon. The first part of her normal attack chain is throwing her sword and then proceeding to punch and kick the enemy. At this point, it's sort of just like, why, right? It almost looks like the goal wasn't to design a kit for this character. It almost seems like the goal was to just take something cool from Wuthering Waves and then say, fuck the rest of her design as well. Because I don't fundamentally understand how this makes very much sense at all for a sword-wielding character. So that's one part, right? That's one part. It doesn't fit her design, it looks worse than what's in Wuthering Waves, and it's pretty much copied almost one-to-one from what's in Wuwa. And guys, it's not a good look. It's not a good look, especially when the game is approaching its second closed beta test. They've already had 6, 7, 8 months to work on the game from their prior closed beta test. It looks like they're rushing to get this project out to completion and taking as many shortcuts as they can along the way. Because, let's be honest here, if your devs aren't creative enough to come up with the moveset for a sword-wielding character and have to copy the moveset from a gauntlet-wielding character, sure, you can say it's taking inspiration. You could also say this is really ham-fisted in just to get a project done. And we all know, when a company does stuff like that, they're typically churning out lower quality products. And so, this isn't the only example of the TOF devs, of Hada Studios, of NTE getting a little bit of flack for some of the inspiration that they're taking from Wuthering Waves. We've got another example of it from this footage from their live stream. And boy, oh boy, is this going to be a little bit to look at. So, let's just take a look at this character over here, right? She looks like a traditional sort of like Japanese, you know, like kimono, you know, ara sort of mommy. Let's see what her kit looks like. So, first things first, this is a combat demo from NTE. We'll just talk about clear levels of inspiration. Some could say plagiarism, some could say copying, right? The perfect dodge system. Pretty much exactly the same as Wuthering Waves, right? You dodge, and then you got the parry over here. Yeah, let's be real here. The combat from this game is essentially going to feel exactly like Wuthering Waves, and potentially just feel like a worse version of Wuthering Waves. Because, well, you can see over here, right? It's just the same exact sort of playstyle of like dodging, and then when the bosses are parryable, you'll get a ring that converges, and then when the two circles converge, you can attack at the right time to parry the boss. Yeah. So, they're now on the record, right? Copying character kits, and they're also on the record straight up ripping combat mechanics. So that's already 2 examples of where it's happened before. Now let me give you a third example of where they're doing some more fun stuff with character kits. Check out this character's attack chain real fast. 1, 2, 3. Guys, doesn't this look kind of similar to another character in Wuthering Waves? Also, with an umbrella. Yeah, I'm going to be real here. I'm going to be real here. That's a little bit interesting that they also took basically the same exact animation with the same exact umbrella thing, and it's also straight up just in the game as well. I find that fascinating, right? That there's also another example of this when they're already on the record going ahead, right? And ripping other animations from Wuthering Waves. So, that's a little bit rough over there, isn't it? Yeah, that's a little bit rough there, isn't it? And this is the thing, right? This is kind of like the unfortunate part. This isn't the only combat mechanic or combat animation. They've also got intro skills in the game. You can kind of see over here. You got the glowing marks over here. You press it, right? And now the character is going to do a special attack. And from what I'm seeing from a prior link as well, it appears that they also have Concerto Energy. At 50 seconds, okay, let's see here. At 50 seconds, you can see the Concerto Energy. Let's check it out. Let's see what Concerto Energy looks like in this game. It's the little circle next to the character's icon. Oh, they do have it. Okay, so the intro skills are 100% a direct rip as well. So, they have intro skills, they have perfect dodges, they also have, well, parries as well, and they're taking character kits, the animations and the design and the number of hits from them too. And this is the thing, guys. It's clear that those are good mechanics, right? But it also shows that there's absolutely no differentiation being done at all to even slightly try to innovate from what's in Wuthering Waves. right? There is absolutely no attempt. They added these things in the CBT2, guys. They added these things. Added the combat mechanism parry attack. Added critical dodge and a counter attack as well. And there's no attempt at all to differentiate them from the systems that are in Wuthering Waves. And that's the thing, right? That's what makes it different from taking inspiration for me. Because if it takes inspiration, the idea is that you take the feature and then you proceed to either add onto it, take away from it, simplify it, or at least change it in some sort of way before actually integrating it into your game. The parry and the dodge, they're literally exactly the same. That is exactly the same. ZZZ's parry system, that's potentially taking inspiration from Wuwa, right? Because at least in ZZZ, you gotta do some dumb shit like swap to another character to parry properly. In this game, it's literally the same exact parry. There's no difference at all. And the dodges in this game, they're gonna have a follow-up. And you know what the follow-up's probably gonna do? Advance your basic attack chain and let you get resources faster, just like in Wuwa. Do you guys want to see one example of a game that actually innovated on the parry system while still looking similar to Wuwa? I'll show you. Yeah, you guys might be familiar with this game. It's called Rewinding Cadence. We actually have a video covering it. It looks really good. And this is an example of a game that actually tried to innovate on the parry system. Let's see if we can find a fight. I think there's a fight right here that shows it off. Right? They implemented QTEs into the combat. There should be a parry in here somewhere. This is what actual innovation and inspiration looks like. Okay, it just looks good. Oh, and they also do intro skills differently as well, where the intro skills actually are ultimate. This game actually has an innovative intro skill system where they use your ultimate on intro instead. So that's another way. So that's what inspiration looks like when you're actually giving a damn and not just copying the feature completely. Surely the parry comes out somewhere. Where is it? Right there. That's what the parry looks like in this game. It turns into a QTE that shows up on the side that you have to press at the right time, and then that will actually parry a massive attack from the boss. That's what taking inspiration from the combat looks like. That's what it looks like when you're not straight up ripping a system from the game and doing absolutely no work at all. Absolutely no work at all to make any differentiations. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is unfortunately, if you know what parries look like in Wuthering Waves, that is what the NTE developers are doing over here. It's the same photo. It's the same photo. And you know what I bet? I bet they're also going to have mechanics like your QTE bar filling up faster from doing perfect dodges and hitting parries. Guys, this is the thing. And this is the thing that people need to watch out for when it comes to this stuff. This is just going to feel like Wuwa's combat, but a different shade. And this is the danger for a game like NTE when it takes this much inspiration and does this little work on actually building on top of or away from those systems. Now, it could just feel like Wuwa, but worse. Or, somehow, it'll feel like Wuwa, but better. But I doubt, considering the fact that these devs are basically known for churning out lower quality products, I don't think it's going to feel better. Because if they don't have the creative power to actually come up with any of their own unique combat mechanics, and their end goal is to just take literally everything from what's in Wuwa when it comes to the combat design, and then also just steal animations from kits, even when it doesn't even fit the character, well, I'd be very, very, very concerned as a potential NTE player, as somebody that wants the game to succeed, because I'd be asking myself the question, why aren't these devs capable of coming out with their own iterations of things? Why is it literally exactly the same? And this is the thing. We've had prior examples of games that have just straight up taken a lot of inspiration from Wuthering Waves, and their trajectory has gone down a cliff. Because it's clear, right? The developers are losing creativity. And of course, why don't we just talk about another game that has taken a lot of inspiration from Wuthering Waves in recent months? This is Mavuika's motorcycle, ladies and gentlemen. This looks like shit. This is some of the worst motorcycle gameplay I've ever seen. It literally looks like she's not even moving on wheels. It looks like somebody has like a hand. They're like picking her up and just like gliding her across the surface of the map. And this is what we're directly comparing it to, ladies and gentlemen. This is what we're comparing it to, ladies and gentlemen. And I'll just turn out the fucking volume for this bad boy.
This is so much fun!
That's what we're comparing it to. You got this absolute nonsense, bro. Great, at least she could do ollies. It just looks so bad. Then we got, of course, another Natlan character. It's the same exact photo. And this is all stuff that's releasing, that's being put into the game following the release of Wuthering Waves. And of course, we've got the last one, and probably the most egregious one, right? The most egregious one, of course. This absolute monstrosity of an exploration unit. Do they have her climbing a wall yet? Oh no, they only have her dashing around. You all know what she does. She runs up walls. Yeah, she runs up walls. A feature that every single unit in Wuthering Waves can do. Yeah. Yeah, you're paying $300 for the ability to do this in Genshin. Just go fuck yourself already, right? And this is the thing. It's safe to say that Natlan is literally the worst region in Genshin Impact history. Isn't it kind of coincidental that Natlan and the heavy inspiration that they took from Wuthering Waves led to or coincided with it being the worst region that the game has ever had? Isn't that a little bit strange, ladies and gentlemen? Isn't that a little bit strange that the region where they steal the most ideas for exploration from Wuthering Waves also turns out to be its worst one? It seems like these systems from Wuwa are being added into games that shouldn't necessarily have them, because people see that they're good and positively received, and they're just like, oh, I guess we should just add it to our game. And you want to know how I know this is probably the case? You all know about Mavuika and her motorcycle, right? Isn't Mavuika's motorcycle only introduced into Natlan during the last part of the story quest? It almost seems like the development of Natlan and its story didn't even factor in Mavuika having a motorcycle until the last chapter. Wouldn't it make sense then, with this lack of motorcycle, which is literally a cornerstone of her kit, that it was added on late into her development just so that they would be able to innovate and take more inspiration? Yeah, that's what it kind of seems like. And they just went ahead. They added stuff from Wuwa into Genshin, and the game is worse because of it. Because they didn't implement it in a good way. They took inspiration, but really just fucking copied it. And that's what the NTE devs are doing here, ladies and gentlemen. They're taking inspiration. Oh, we also got Glizzy Rider in this game as well. Who would have thought? He could have just fought with the motorcycle, but he's got to have a pole arm as well. Oh gosh, another fire motorcycle boss that wields a gigantic pole arm. Oh boy. Does he have the same exact moveset as well? Let's see. Okay. Yeah, he does. Okay, he does. All right, great. So yeah, ladies and gentlemen, that's what it looks like when a game is taking heavy inspiration. But as we saw over here with Rewinding Cadence, this is what it looks like when a game is taking inspiration properly, and the devs are not creatively bankrupt. Because the Genshin devs are creatively bankrupt and are just straight up copying. And the NTE devs, unfortunately, are doing the exact same thing. And this is the thing that kind of sucks the most, is that it's clear that NTE is capable of putting in their own unique animations and their own unique kits, but they're simply cutting corners when it comes to other areas of their development. They're fully capable of doing unique things. Oh, actually, wait a second. Did they just take that from Mabuika's kit? Wait, did they just take that from Mabuika's kit? Yeah. Okay. Surely there's one original kit in here somewhere, right? Yeah, okay. This guy's kit seems pretty unique. Yeah, this one, it's boring, but at least it's unique. Yeah. Yeah, they got at least one guy in there. So yeah. If I was an NTE player, I'd be concerned, guys. If I was an oh, this guy looks like Mortefi too. Okay, I feel like it looks. It's not like Mortefi's the pinnacle of character design. Let's be real here. What is it that similar? The area is like way bigger. Yeah, the area's okay, guys. The animation's not even slightly the same. If you're saying this looks like what Mortefi's kit looks like, you have never played him before. Yeah, Mortefi throws like fire projectiles. Okay, if you're saying this looks like Mortefi, you're actually on drugs. Yeah, you're actually on drugs. Look at the basic attack animation. He doesn't have a gun though. All right, well, let's see what his kit looks like then, or at least his basic attack. Wait, who said? Wait, did they just take the Zhang Liao ending? Okay. Yeah, that's probably just Zhang Liao again then. Okay, never mind. I guess these devs, even in the live stream showcase where they decide to individually show off characters, every single one just looks exactly the fucking... Why even have the same attack? Why even... Are we that lazy? There's no way we're that lazy. Okay, yeah, I don't know what to say at this point. So they're gonna copy the movesets. They're going to copy the combat mechanics. They're gonna make no differentiations at all. Everything is straight up ripped from Wuthering Waves. And they're sharing the movesets across characters in the big 2025. Yeah, I'm gonna be real, guys. These devs are lazy. Or these devs are overworked. These devs don't have enough budget. Or I don't know what's going on. It's crazy to have this many reused assets and then also steal so many of the ideas and the mechanics. Yeah, that's I was actually gonna say that, like, oh, like surely there's evidence of them being creative and good, but I failed to find that. All right, yeah, sorry to end the video on a low note, but you gotta do what you gotta do sometimes. Let me know what you all think. Peace.